Amplifiez votre passion pour la guitare pour quelques euros par mois. Rendez-vous sur lachaîneguitare.com. Amplify your passion for the guitar for a few dollars per month. Head over to theguitarchannel.biz. Welcome to the Guitar Channel. I'm super happy to have on the other side of the FaceTime connection the one and only Mike Moreno in Brooklyn, in New York. So Mike, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. Still good.
Yeah.
Yeah, hanging in there. Like I was saying, I'm just trying to take advantage of the time, to get some things done that I was kind of putting off for a while, and definitely practicing a lot.
Which is good. It's always good to practice. Before we talk some more about music and guitar, tell us what is the atmosphere in New York at the moment?
Yeah, for the most part, it's pretty, people are trying to keep a positive outlook, but it's pretty dark. I mean, no one basically can go to work for the most part. I mean, not people that I'm in constant contact with, So all of my friends that are musicians, all of my friends that are in the restaurant industry, in the bar industry, and any kind of service industry, everyone is out of work. So it's kind of rough, like all the dancers and like any kind of performers, like there's no events. So some people are trying to do things online, just to have some kind of something going on for people to check out. But so people are trying to just stay positive, but it's kind of surreal to see the city completely in a standstill.
What was the direct impact of this stay-at-home situation for you in your musician life?
Well, for me, like all of the things that I had for March, for April, for May, for June are all canceled.
Wow.
So it's just slowly been pushing back. When this first started, I was like, okay, well at least this club is still open. They're still having shows. So at least at the end of March, I'll have like these 4 shows at this place, which will pay the rent, But like then that got canceled, and then stuff in April got canceled, and then it just kept getting pushed back and further and back. So the most recent cancellations were at the end of June. Yeah.
And
so
I just heard this morning that the Montreal Jazz Festival was cancelled too. So this is happening normally at the end of June, beginning of July. So that's
exactly. So that's a huge festival. I mean, it's one of the biggest jazz festivals. I mean, if that festival cancels, then next is North Sea and next is Montreal, and so if that happens, it's going to be a rough summer. Like right now, I have the fortunate job of being able to teach at universities. So at least for the moment, for March, April, and May, I have those teaching gigs, or I'm doing everything online. But that's only, a third of my income. So I make all my money playing music, So, I mean, I'll be able to survive on just teaching without, obviously there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to spend any money. So, so in a way, like the majority of the money I'm losing from work, I'm saving some by just not having any choices. I'm cooking here like 3 meals a day. It's like I'm my own housewife, It's like I'm doing every meal. I'm cleaning the kitchen 3 times a day. It's like 3 hours a day. 3 hours a day of my every day is in the kitchen. It's crazy.
And so the teaching you are doing at the moment, you were already doing them remotely, or it was in classroom?
No, I mean those like I was going to Philadelphia. When I'm not on the road, I go to Philadelphia every Tuesday.
Okay.
And I teach there for 8 hours. I do all the students in one day. So, and I just started at Manhattan School of Music this semester. So, there I can go to the school, or the students come to my place, hit my studio here in Brooklyn at my house. And then the same thing for City College, Queens College, and also for the New School University. So there's 4 different schools I'm teaching at. So that's at least keeping my head above water for the moment, you know.
So you converted all those classrooms through Skype or Zoom or FaceTime?
Yeah, I'm doing Zoom. I had never used Zoom, but all of the schools kind of were recommending that we do the online classes on Zoom. So even like Queens College is offering to pay the monthly subscriptions for us to use it to teach classes.
Mm-hmm. What is the experience for the students or for you as a teacher to teach through a screen rather than being face-to-face?
The only fortunate thing about this is that all of those students that I'm teaching online, we've had several lessons, some of them for 3 semesters, so I know them really well. So it's just it's another part of the lesson experience. So at least it's not starting from scratch. Like starting from scratch online with a very advanced student can be a little bit difficult. Because all these students that I'm teaching, they're all like either grad students getting their master's degree, or they're pretty far in the program at whatever school they are, so they're close to graduating. So they're pretty advanced levels, and I know they're playing each pretty well, so that helps. You know, it would be difficult if it was the start of the semester and we had to start online. That would be a huge letdown. But for me, I've been teaching online for years, Skype lessons and stuff like that, not for universities, but I've been doing it for people who want lessons that don't live in New York or don't have the funds to come and travel and stay here for a week, 2 weeks. So I'm used to doing it. It's a drag for the students. I know it is, because they're paying, you know, $50,000 a year to stay at home in their bedroom and take lessons online, which is not what any of them were expecting to do. So I mean, we're trying to make the best of it and make sure that they are getting the best experience they can and keep them motivated. And we've been meeting, you know, the faculties have been meeting online to just try to come up with the best way to keep people, you know, motivated and inspired and happy, you know, because you know, a lot of them don't even live in New York and they had to travel back home. You know, like I've had students that went back to New Zealand. Okay. You know, like we have to do lessons online. I'm in New York and he's in New Zealand. He used to be sitting 2 feet away from me, like playing in lessons right here, and like all of the next week he's in New Zealand. Yeah. And we have to finish the semester of lessons. It's kind of crazy, you know.
And obviously it's not possible to jam with your students or to instantly correct or interact with them. So that's also...
I have some techniques that I use to where we can play back and forth, but we can't really play together. Yeah. So we can trade, like I'll play 8 bars, you play 8 bars, we'll play a chorus, or you play a chorus, and everything's done with a metronome because, one, it's good practice to always use the metronome, but 2, with the connection, you can really hear where the tempo is, because sometimes the connections can move a little bit, like the speed of the way that I'm hearing you can be rushed or dragged a little bit, so that if I hear the metronome moving, then I know it's the connection and not the student, not their... Yeah. I learned that from teaching on Skype years ago, whereas I was getting on people's cases as, man, your time is terrible, it's like all over the place, and then I realized later that it was just the connection. So now I make everyone play with a metronome online. You know?
At the moment, do you have some open schedule that people would be could actually use to get some teaching with you, or your schedule is full?
No, I have time, and I'm also, you know, I'm doing like a 30% off for people who are writing in. I haven't advertised it, but you know, some people are just like, are you offering any kind of lessons and how much would they be? And I know people are sitting home just like me and no one's working, so I'm trying to make it at least a little bit more affordable than it usually is. The unfortunate thing is that I just raised my prices like the month before this happened, so the 30% off is really just the same price it was. So yeah, that was only a month in that I had raised my prices.
And what's the best way to reach you to book training with you? Is that through your website or email?
Through my website, through Facebook, through Instagram. Yeah, through my website is really easy because it's just mikemoreno.com, and you can click contact, and that's my email address. Facebook, obviously, you can write me there. As long as it's my personal page, I never check the artist page.
Okay.
I might check it twice a year, the messages there. But Instagram, I see those right away, so.
Okay. Is there anything else that you had to adapt to for this special time we are going through?
Just, just mentally trying to deal with. Adapt is a kind of difficult word. It's just we have to deal. So I've just had to deal with the fact that one. I can't see any of my friends in person. I'm probably not going to play with another person until, like, in the same room as another musician until July or August. And so it's just like mentally trying to prepare for that. Right now, it still feels like, okay, actually it's next Friday will be 1 month that I haven't left my neighborhood, or like other than to get groceries. So. But in 1 month, after 2 months of doing that, that's when it's going to kind of like mentally start to mess with people. So like I'm just trying to think ahead and try to prepare myself and keep myself totally as busy as possible. So I'm basically, if I'm not practicing, I'm working on some other kind of music project. Things that I have been putting off, So one of those things is what I was talking about earlier. Was the film score, the origins of some of the most famous jazz standards, are, where they first appeared, like in the movies, how they were, what the harmony was and the melody and everything in the original form, and then how it evolved over the next 30 to 40 years.
Nice. Okay.
And everything is transcribed, and I put the charts up for people to see. So right now I'm putting it on Instagram, but I definitely have like a plan for what it's going to be. That I'm not just doing it for the hell of it. There's definitely like a motivation behind it, but also it's that right now is like helping me kind of get through those times where like, okay, I've already practiced today. Like what am I going to do now? I can read or I can still work on music, but this is another way of working on music to where it's really beneficial. Like it's going to lead to something.
Tell us about how you organize your training time. Do you have some specific subject you want to work on, or it depends on the day? How do you handle that?
Most of the day, a lot of my practice is kind of evolved around writing music. So I'm always trying to come up with new ideas on just writing songs. So a lot of it is kind of just improvising until I start finding something that I can start molding into a tune. And then working on that, like trying it in a million different ways before I settle on what it's going to be. So that's part of it. Another part of it is always learning new music and working on just concepts of how I can arrange it on the guitar and try different ways. And a lot of the time I practice just playing solo guitar, trying to get everything to feel as big as possible, like to where you're not missing anything. You're not missing a bass, you're not missing the piano, you're not missing a melody player and someone just playing chords, but like trying to make solo guitar really feel good. People have done it before, but everything is arranged, but I'm trying to do it where it's improvised,
And at the level of guitar playing you are at the moment, do you feel the need sometimes to go to see a master, to take yourself some class, or you already know how well enough to organize your work to make progress?
I haven't taken a lesson in a long time, actually. Okay. That would be great. But I try to get everything, since I've started playing, I only really took lessons my first couple of years of playing jazz. Like one of them was just studying harmony with a guitar player who was showing me all this harmony stuff and some technique ideas, but he never really said you have to do this or that. It was just like a bunch of ideas he was throwing my way. And then another guitar teacher, when I really got serious about jazz, he was actually showing me exactly how he plays the tunes. So everything he was teaching me was by ear, and I had to memorize the tunes within the lesson, with the voicings, the melody, everything. So he would that was every lesson. Every lesson was just like, we're going to learn this tune. This is the chord, this is the voicings, this is the melody. Boom. We'd spend 1 hour each lesson was a different song. That was it. There was no improvisation techniques. I mean, he kind of did show me what scales work over stuff, but he wasn't really showing me how to use the scales. So ever since the beginning, I've learned most of this stuff from just listening to records. So transcribing. So it's the same way now. Like if I wanted to study with somebody, most likely I would just really get into their music and transcribe their original music and their voicings and their solos and stuff like that. To me, that's way more information to digest than, actually speaking to them is great to hear stories and hear the background of what they were doing during this recording or whatever, situations, things that you won't get from just listening to the record. But all the musical things, if you just use your imagination and get creative with learning, you can get without. But of course, I would love to study with some of my, I did when I first moved to New York. Like Peter Bernstein is one of my favorite guitar players. I took a lot of lessons with him. I took a lot of lessons with Vic Juris, who recently just passed away. And those lessons were incredible. I love studying with Vic. He was so great at just showing me he just letting me know the stuff I couldn't do without even saying anything. He would just like, hey, check out this tune, check out this concept, and see what you come up with. And he kind of always threw a song at me that he knew that was a little bit over my harmonic concepts, So, and then, I took lessons with guys like Kurt Rosenwinkel. I took like 3 lessons with him. I think I only got 2 of them. And the other one, we're just like, okay, we never actually did it. But, just all we did was listening to music. I think we played once, and then the next time I went over, we just listened to his band. And it was the first time I'd really heard his band, actually. We just listened to a live set of his band at Smalls. And just doing that, like sitting in a room with somebody that you think is a great player and just listening to music together sometimes is all you need to do,
And what did you get, for example, with the time you spent with Kurt Rosenwinkel? What did you learn from him?
Kurt is we just talked about, I think actually the 3rd lesson we just went out and had lunch.
Okay.
Yeah. He was like, I showed up to his door and he came, opened the door. He was like, man, let's go get something to eat. I was like, okay, great. That was the last lesson. And then he just asked me what records I like to check out and, what I was into. And we just talked about music. And, he gave me one of his tunes that I had never heard. He just gave me the chart of it. That was the only piece of paper he ever gave to me. It's like, oh, this is one of my tunes. Like, check it out. But that was it. It was just kind of like talking about music. We played a few tunes once, and then we listened to a set of his band playing at Smalls, which was kind of great at the time because that was some really fresh new music on the scene at the time, and I hadn't heard it. I had heard him playing with other people's bands, so that was kind of an eye-opening experience. Kurt's an amazing composer, so some of the lessons is just like forming like relationships, like friendships, and just being around people. That's the most important thing about studying with someone or being at school for me is like being in proximity with someone that's great, being around that energy and being around your friends that inspire you and like you motivate each other to practice and to study and to get better and to play all the time. So that's really what school is about to me. It's not about, oh my God, this guy's going to teach me how to play. Hopefully that guy's just going to want he's going to make you want to learn how to play. But it's not really, he's not going to teach you how to play.
Okay. When we did last time we did interview was during the NAMM show. You were with Steven Marchione, your guitar builder, and I see you have behind one of your guitar, right? You have the electric and the acoustic.
I mean, this is my favorite at the moment. I mean, this is the maple top.
Oh, nice.
So that's the mahogany back maple top. So it's kind of like a 335 meets a Les Paul. This is the one that I love playing for everything, you know. The last tour I did in Europe, I had this, and I had that new Les Paul guitar.
Yeah, the 69 model, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
yeah,
what about
I can show that. I mean, I showed it a little bit in the last interview, but I can pull it out if you want to check it out.
Well, I wanted to talk about you have your acoustic guitar also behind you, right?
Oh yeah. This is another one of Steven's. This guitar it's a really interesting because it's basically like a classical guitar but with steel strings on it.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, but it's made that way, you know. It's not you know, you can see the
yeah,
so
the pin, yeah.
But it's just so warm. This guitar it's crazy. So it's like a perfect blend between like a nylon string kind of Spanish or Brazilian guitar and like a regular just like dreadnought.
So it has a very wide neck.
Yeah, the neck is wide. But you know, and depending on how you play it, you can really get.
Nice.
You can get a bunch of different timbres out of it. Like you can kind of make it sound like it's a nylon string. But I just love this guitar. It's like it has so much depth to it.
And it's a model that Steven designed for you, or it was something he built before?
He was kind of messing around with this idea at the time, and he built a few of them. This was before he built those OMC guitars, like the cutaway acoustic guitars. So this is what he had before that. So this was probably around like 2014, somewhere around there, 2015. And I just happened to be in the right place. I was in Houston, and he let me take this one and try it out. And I've just had it since. I mean, I've used it on my records. I've used it on a bunch of recordings since then. Since I've had it, it replaced my, because I used to play on all those records either a Taylor acoustic that I had, or I would use the old LG2 Gibson, like I have a 1953. Gibson. And that guitar, I love that guitar, but it doesn't really play in tune as much as I would like it to. So it always sounds great for the 90% of what I'm playing, and then there's that one chord that's out of tune. It's like on every record. You know, it's like, so, but this guitar is just like perfectly in tune, and it records beautifully. Yeah.
What about the next project you have in mind, hopefully when we are out of this pandemic situation? So let's talk about maybe the autumn and the rest of the year. Any project you can talk about?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the last gig I did was with my band, which is the electric band. So it's electric keyboard, you know, keyboards, electric bass, and drums. And that's sorry, this is like the unfortunate situation of what's happening now. Is like there's ambulances all day long.
It's the same here, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that electric band, it's all new music. So that's gonna hopefully get recorded in the fall. Although I don't know where I'm gonna get the money now. All the gigs in the summer are canceled. You know, so. But yeah, that's the next project. Is definitely that. That's gonna. You know, and then I have some gigs in Europe and in Asia in August that still haven't been canceled yet. So I'm just crossing my fingers.
Yeah, sure.
Hoping that stuff. So like Japan, Indonesia, also Finland, and so hopefully that 2 weeks won't be totally thrown down the garbage.
If people want to help you, what's the best way to help you? Is that to buy your music online, to reach out to you?
the online videos are one way. Like so, like April 1st, I just got a payment for like those online videos. It's every 4 months, you know. So the next one would be July 1st, which is probably going to be totally necessary if all the gigs, and you know. So that's one way. It's like there's 2 websites that have my videos on them. One of them is My Music Masterclass. The other one is Elite Mentor. And you can also buy the music on Amazon or actually buy from iTunes store. It's not on Apple Music. So, but if you go to the iTunes store, you can buy the records there. That money I get every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, and or take lessons. You know, I have a lot of time now to get more teaching in than I normally do.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah. So hopefully this situation won't last too long and you will be back on the road as soon as possible. So thank you very much, Mike, for being on the show for this live interview. If people want to have more information about Mike, so of course check out Mike Moreno's website, and there are also a couple interviews we recorded together when you were in France in my showroom, and also the interview we did with Steven Marchionne, so people can check this out on theguitarchannel.biz and to have access to those interviews as well.
Yeah, great.
All right. Thank you very much again for your time, Mike, and stay home and stay safe, okay?
Yeah, you too, man. Good to see you.
Okay. Bye-bye, Mike.
Okay. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Pour le prix d'un magazine, abonnez-vous à la chaîne Guitare pour accéder aux vidéos intégrales. For the price of a magazine, subscribe to the Guitar Channel to access the full videos.